Swim without any protection in these waters, and you'd reach exhaustion and eventually unconsciousness in around an hour.
And then you see the whole thick layer, full of fat and blubber there. That's what I'm trying to separate from the main carcass. Just get my hand right in there. I just need to be so careful doing this so I don't put a nick in the actual skin itself. Okay, and look, you see you're left with that head hole, place to put my arms.
The Vikings in this area of Scotland use seal hide to make rope, clothing, even sleeping bags to protect against the cold winters.
It's going to be a bit of a squeeze, but that is the ultimate sealskin wetsuit. Yeah, that's the moment. Shall we see when I get this thing on? Snug fit. Actually, look, that covers all of my core body here, and that's the bit I want to keep warm.
Hypothermia sets in when your core temperature drops below a critical level. Muscle function becomes impaired, and even worse, your ability to make clear decisions.
I mean, obviously you're an ambassador for Alpha, and how does your faith in God really relate to what you do, and how does that help you in those, you know?
Faith's hard to talk about, and I know we're kind of in a church place and it should be easier, but you know, it's intimate and it's kind of should be personal like that. But for me, my Christian faith's been a real quiet strength, I think, and like a backbone that's run through a lot of the stuff I do. And it's easy to be cynical and when everything's going well, you know, but I don't meet many atheists in the death zone on Everest, you know, and I've learned through so much of my experiences with the military or high mountains, I've learned that it takes a proud man to say he never needs anything. And for me, it's very unreligious and it's not heavy, and it's like finding home is how I feel about it. And it's been a great thing in our family and a good kind of knitter or glue. And, you know, my kids pray for me before I go away, and that, I tell you what, that melts me, you know. It's like my 7-year-old goes, "Bless Papa." You know, and that's it. But, you know, wow. Yeah.
Hey, Elliott.
How are you?
How do you pronounce your last name?
DeJarnett.
DeJarnett. Does anyone ever mispronounce that?
I've heard everything from DeJarnett, DeJarnett, yeah, all kinds of mispronounced.
All right, but you'll take DeJarnett.
DeJarnett is great.
All right. And you are our contemporary worship leader.
I am.
What instruments are you the most fluent in? Like, what do you prefer?
Primarily just acoustic guitar, nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. And I play a good bit of drums, but not so much today. Just mainly acoustic guitar.
Oh, great. We would love to hear about music ministry, but right now I want to ask you a little bit about some of your past experiences overseas and around the world.
Sounds great.
Tell us about your parents and the house you grew up in.
Yes. So my parents were called right around the time that after they turned 30 to go be missionaries in France, in Europe. It's in Western Europe. And so they moved there in 1992 with me and two of my siblings, and my little brother was born there, and we lived there for 11 years until 2003. And we lived in a house right outside of Paris, about 20 minutes away, and it was a great time. We lived right there next to where we went to school, so we would walk to school. We have great memories of all that, and yeah, it was just a great time looking back on the experiences that we had there.
So what were the years you were there? Like, how old were you?
I was 5 years old when I went there, and I was 16 when I came back. So I did my two last years of high school here. And I was 5 to 16 living in France.
Then you're fluent.
Totally fluent.
All right, I'll drop something on us.
Je pourrais parler, mais de toute façon, vous allez rien comprendre, donc ça sert un peu à rien, mais quand vous voulez, je peux parler français, donc c'est...
That means Chris Mixer's the best youth minister?
Yes.
I thought so.
That's what it said.
Okay. So you grew up in a school in France.
Yes.
How many Christians would you say went to your school?
We were pretty sure, in talking with my brothers and sisters and friends of ours, like outside of our family, there maybe was a few, but we pretty much were sure that there were none other Christians, especially as far as that we knew that went to church or anything like that. We were the only ones.
So people might have called themselves Christians, but it wasn't practiced.
Yes, everybody kind of calls themselves Christians, whether it's Catholic, their grandmother's Catholic. It's a very like family tradition thing. But as far as practicing being a Christian, you know, having a relationship with the Lord, knowing the Lord, going to church, we didn't see much of that at all outside of our family.
Wow. So did they still celebrate those holidays?
Oh yes, any excuse they had to have a holiday and miss some school or work, they would do it. So there's a lot of holidays that they'd have, many more than here, that they'd celebrate and have a vacation or something. But it's just because it's so instituted in the culture and from being passed down through the centuries of Catholicism.
All right. Elliott, so your parents were missionaries in France for a long time. Why didn't they just go over for short-term missions versus long-term missions?
Right. Well, there's definitely a lot that can be done when you go short-term missions. I love short-term missions in the sense that you can go and help the people who are there and participate what the Lord is already doing. And so there's great value to that. But I do believe that, you know, as we look at the life of Jesus, he really took time and years and invested into the people that he had relationships with. And what we saw in France is, you know, they don't need necessarily their house to be fixed or their roof to be fixed, and a lot of the things that we could do really quick that provides a quick fix to things. But they have everything they want, kind of like we do. And so what we focused on, and what I saw my parents focus on a lot, was building really deep friendships and relationships to the point to where there was a freedom to exchange ideas and beliefs. And eventually, you begin to see people who, after years and years of praying for them and talking to them about Jesus, they slowly begin to realize, oh, this isn't just like, you're not just working on me as a project or something. Like, you actually believe that this is the best thing for me because you love me as a friend. And they start to see Jesus show up in their life, and they see the witness of that. And so it was a great example to me of just how important relationships and long-lasting relationships can be when we try to tell others about Jesus. It's not always going to be so fast to happen, but sometimes there's some perseverance and prayer that comes with it.
Thanks, Elliott.
No problem. Thank you.